This week's been reasonably productive. I have accomplished everything I wanted to do in my 1 week off work. I've managed to install the hose clamps on these outer boots on the axle shafts at the rear. It is only a temporary measure, but hopefully they will hold for that first test drive. They do just clear the handbrake cables and everything else, so it is a solution for now. And of course I have installed all of my new hoses for the power steering setup, including the ones you can't see going up to the pump as well. I also bought several new nuts and changed some of the rusted ones. I wasn't happy with the appearance of those. And as mentioned on one of my posts, I have perfected the throttle cable. That rod that I've put in there from an w124 was still too long. I had to shave 15mm off that again with a cheap tap and die set, so that has sufficed. I have to adjust that airflow meter before putting those caps on. I can't do that till the engine's running. My EZL is of course installed. I am using the Siemens brand one instead of the Bosch because they are more resilient. And yes, you can see thermal compound oozing out from underneath that. I'm not running it dry. The transmission cooler lines are fully installed. I just don't have a radiator. That's to come later. My power steering reservoir I have filled up twice because I don't have a running engine. All I can do is turn it by hand, which takes a million years to feed the fluid through, so it has gone down again. I could top that up again, and I will later. And I'm glad to say that there's no fluid leaking out of my resealed steering box. But it's not really a test till it's running. And that's a generic clamp that I bought from my local car parts store because the original was missing. All of my vacuum lines are of course connected up. These are the generic clamps that I purchased. They're the 22mm variety, and by absolute fluke they were the perfect size. I did tighten up the center nut of the tail shaft, and I've also installed the shielding underneath that. From memory that nut's supposed to be tightened at operating temperature, but really who cares. And we can't forget Puss Puss. That's going to go on later after I paint it. One mistake I did make, here is the original strainer from the later 124s. You'll notice it has a large hole where the hose goes in. And of course I made a mistake and installed the smaller hole version, which only goes on the very earliest of 124, so I'm going to have to change that. And this one isn't so much my issue, but it just shows in the past that someone has swapped out the complete fuel pump package from a 103 powered 124. As mentioned in my post, they're not the same. The accumulator is a different pressure rating and its threaded end is different, so I can't use this line on my new accumulator. I'm going to have to find another one. And of course, once the engine is almost ready to start, I'm going to have to fit my compressor because I won't have a suitable size belt to avoid that fact. Simply because the belt runs on it, I'm going to have it there to start the engine.